What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim, back with another video, and today I want to talk to you guys about Sony's second State of Play. But before I get into that, please consider commenting, rating, and subscribing. It does help out my channel quite a bit. Additionally, for this video only, I've started working on a new OBS layout, so let me know what you guys think about that as well in the comments below. But enough about that, let's talk about Sony. It was a surprise to me and many others this year when Sony announced that they would not be participating in E3 2019. No press conference, no tent, no anything. They would not be involved in E3 at all. And it took a lot of people by surprise because, well, one, it's E3, and two, it's kind of the time of year when all the media gathers to look and see what a company is up to. So for them to not have anything at all to show is quite surprising. Now, there's a lot of rumors and speculations on why that is and what it means for Sony's future, but what we do know for now is that Sony has instituted a State of Play, which is basically a Nintendo Direct-esque presentation where they reveal and talk about games. They show trailers, they show teasers, they sometimes do these long-form deep dives with some of the developer studio and some of the engineers and team working behind some of these games, so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect from upcoming titles. The first State of Play I thought was a large success. It ran a little under 20 minutes long, and it highlighted both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR titles. Now, Sony has announced they're doing yet another one, this one stated for March 9th. And it's going to be coming at 3 p.m. Pacific. So, unfortunately, there's not a lot here, and that's kind of sad because we're all really excited for Sony news. I guess if we had known E3 was going to be coming and they were going to be there, maybe we could kind of temper our expectations slightly. Obviously, Microsoft's going to be there, so we're not expecting any news from Microsoft in May, rather. Obviously, they're going to be showing everything off in June. But with Sony not being there, we'll take any drop of news we can get. So this was from Sid Schumann, who is the director of social media via the official PlayStation blog. And he says, "Hi all, excited to share that State of Play will return for an episode on Thursday, March 9th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. It will be a quick show, around 10 minutes long, but we've got some PS4 updates we couldn't wait to share with you. PlayStation Worldwide Studios will be showing off an extended look at MediEvil, as well as a new title. And we'll have some other updates and some other announcements for upcoming PlayStation games. One note, don't expect to see any updates regarding our next generation plans. Sorry. As you can watch on, here's the links. As always, we'll be reading your feedback and comments, so please keep them coming. There's lots more in store for State of Play Episode 3, which will return later in the year with more news and more updates." Bummer. Okay, MediEvil remake, great. I don't really know what they can show other than a quick trailer of what the graphics look like. I think they've done an incredibly amazing job with some of their remakes of some of their classic games. Crash Bandicoot comes to mind. Definitely a serviceable upgrade. They put in a lot of nice features. There was, the development basically from the ground up so that it had lower latency and it was true to form. And what made that so unique was they didn't have the source files for it. So they basically recreated everything from scratch. I'm not sure of the state of the MediEvil update, and I'm sure we're going to find out about that. But the rest of the news falls kind of flat. There's really not a lot going on here. If it's only 10 minutes long, they're very clearly tempering expectations. And this is what makes me wonder, and why I'm doing this video in particular. Why are they showing this now? What do they have to gain by showing this on May 9th? Why can't they wait until closer to E3, where we assume they'll be doing another State of Play, kind of to at least stay relevant in the topic, especially with especially with Microsoft putting together a big press conference. Nintendo usually pulls out all the stops on a Nintendo Direct. You have Ubisoft. You have Square stepping up. All these companies, EA, coming up to basically, present their wares and talk about what they're doing. Without Sony there, you would think that they would want to have an action-packed State of Play if this is the way they want to go, this direct to the consumer via streaming services route, which, okay, I understand. But what I wonder, though, is why are they doing this now? What do they have to gain? And it doesn't make much sense to me. They're not really competing with anyone right now in May. Maybe that's the thought process, is to get ahead of the announcements. Maybe MediEvil isn't as popular of a game as people like to think that it is, and they just wanted to say, hey, look, we're going to spread a little goodwill now. It's kind of a lull. Similar to how games launch at different times than other games, primarily because they don't want to go up and compete with them. You see that with movies as well. I mean, not a lot of movies are going to go up against Avengers right now because it's dominating the box office. And similarly, towards the end of the year, your staple franchises like your Call of Duties and your Assassin's Creeds typically tend to dominate the discussion and dominate the sales numbers. So it would make sense that Sony may say, hey, listen, MediEvil is a game that isn't really that great. I mean, it's okay, but it's not something that's going to be, game of the year, and it's not something that's going to sell billions and billions of copies. So let's talk about it now rather than later. That part of it makes sense, but I would say, hey, listen, why not just put together a jam-packed 30-minute, 35-minute, whatever, really dense, really informative state of play right around E3, and put this news in there as well. And then whatever these hand-picked news items are, such as a first look at a new title and other minor updates and announcements, just save all that for then and just put together a nice full episode that at least leaves people satisfied. You look at a press conference in general, and you look at the ebbs and flows of what makes a good press conference, and I think we could all agree that a lot of press conferences could be shorter. There's definitely a lot of times where people tend to ramble on about things, and it loses its momentum, it loses its impact. So you want to be concise and crisp, but at the same time, you want to give people a show. If Phil Spencer comes out on the Microsoft stage during E3, and he can get a word in without me screaming my head off because we're going to FanFest, if he can get a word in edgewise and talk about how great Microsoft is, and he goes, hey, listen, we only got 1 or 2 games. Thanks for coming. It's going to be, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes long, and we'll get you out of here. People would boo and throw tomatoes at him or something on the stage, right? Because they'd be like, hey, man, we came here for something cool. So I understand that concept of excitement is definitely diminished when you go on a video format, but at the same time, don't waste people's times with just these silly little announcements. Now, it worked last year for Sony's lead up to E3 because we knew they were going to have a press conference, and these were just little drip feed announcements, those 5 days leading up to it, where they had just like 10 or 15-minute little videos. Those were exciting because those weren't your major announcements. Tetris Effect was obviously one of the more exciting announcements that came out of that, and I think it would have had its place in the proper press conference, but it's okay, I think, in that situation because we knew that there was a bigger light at the end of the tunnel. Here, we're not really sure what Sony is up to in the next coming months. Maybe they're not going to have a video during E3. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and this is going to be it for a while. And they're going to be radio silent on State of Play long after June. We just don't know. But what we do know is that you got to make it a show, and you got to make it exciting. So I look at this as a diehard Sony pony, and I say, hey, this is great. Finally, we're going to get some news on, one game, and it's 10 minutes, and we're already putting caveats in there on what we're not going to talk about, and it just kind of deflates the whole topic, and it kind of makes you take a step back and say, well, geez, maybe this isn't something as exciting as we thought it was, and maybe, Sony is doubling down just a bit too hard on that next generation, and they're kind of starting to pull away from this current generation. And if that's true, I don't know, that's definitely worrisome. So with that, I will close this video out. These are just my opinions. I'd like to hear from you guys. So again, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about your hopes and dreams of the second State of Play. If it's something worth talking about, I'll come back Thursday and do a wrap-up video and talk about any major announcements or excitement we had, and I love to be proven wrong. So I hope that whatever this other game they're working on absolutely blows us away. But based on what I'm seeing and based on what Sid Schumann is saying, I don't have a lot of faith. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.